Tuna Bites, what's up? Good to be back with you. We are on to week 4. We're going to talk a little bit about week 3 and the state of our league. The good, which is Nathan, and who's joining us, and the bad, this guy, who's 0-3, and everything in between, and trades, and this coming week's matchups and trends and all that good stuff. So hope you're joining us. So Richard, Nathan, good to have you today.
Hey,
glad to be here. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah. You took a week off, so we were kind
I
of
needed
concerned.
a vacation. This week. This has been a long. I think that's going to be the way that I stay. This season and not fall off is taking some breaks here and there.
Nathan, I've decided that I think I finally figured it out. I think you are like the Urban Meyer of our league. If things are good, you're with us all the time. If things go bad, you're stressed out and you got to
chest pains. Oh, I gotta go.
Oh,
Reid, that means you're the Belichick, right?
the Belichick. What? I'm 0-3. What are you talking about, the Belichick?
Exactly.
Right now, right.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Richard.
It still works.
Bring up a good point. You this is a good time to talk about this. Do you think that Reid has lost his golden touch that he once had on the Lake Placid Bumblebee Fantasy Football League?
Yes, I don't know what he did. He didn't use the holy water at First Presbyterian very well.
Yeah,
and he's just.
I mean, I think some people are saying that he's washed, that he's got nothing left. I heard somebody compare him to Big Ben.
Ouch!
Said he's coming out there just getting
just phantom face planting, huh?
We'll see that. They once said Tom Brady was done a few seasons ago, and then look what he did. So maybe Reid's got some life in him left.
That's what I'm going for. I don't want to be like the Jeff Fisher of our league who just keeps doing the halfback, up the middle, in the golden age of passing. Still works, guys.
Classic.
That's me. That might be me.
It still works. I'm still a good coach. Oh gosh. Well, it's always fun. So let's talk about this last week. Let's highlight some things. Obviously some results, maybe some player surprises. Of course, a ton of injuries as always. And some big ones. So,
all right, let's get into it. We're going to start off with me, just to get it out of the way.
With your
I'll
game,
say two things. With my matchup, I'll say two things. Tyson Williams sucks, and the second thing is Lamar Jackson. I hate you. I'm done. And don't chase points with Darnell Mooney.
Yeah.
For the record, I had the thought that I should pick up Emmanuel Sanders to replace Mooney, and I did one of those two things. So.
Well, Richard, what can I say? Your team had a disappointing game, but John Mack, of course, is rolling along, and he could easily be 3-0. He had that tough loss to Jonathan by a point. So, he's got. Cooper Kupp. Basically, him and Mike Williams are just lighting up the league right now. So as far as receivers go, it was definitely a disappointing day. Although on the bright side, I'll give you this. Odell Beckham came back and did better than I thought he was going to do. So, moving forward, that's a bright spot for you.
Yeah, absolutely, Richard. That was probably my favorite part of your team was Odell Beckham. He's got a little bit of life left, and Mark Andrews had a really good game. 109 yards, 5 receptions. That was a positive. Now, I do want to point this out, and Richard, I don't want you to take this as an insult or a jab. But, I know you're anti-kickers, but John Mack's kickers outscored 3 of your regular players.
Exactly.
Williams, Mooney, and Hopkins. So, I think that your argument is really just kind of falling apart here.
Richard, I gotta ask you, because we're on the subject, and I think it's something that was really on my mind a lot after, during Sunday's games was, when you saw the replay of Justin Tucker's 66-yard field goal, did you get really angry inside?
No, I'm okay with it in the NFL. I'm not okay with it in fantasy football. That's the only difference. I'll tell you what. Did you see the 109 return for a touchdown with a failed 66-yard field goal for the Jags?
Yes. Yes.
Yikes.
Yes. You know, some things are getting cleared out here, Richard. I think we're getting some clarity, okay? And I'm just, for you Tunavites, you already know, Richard, kickers, I mean, that just, gets Richard's blood boiling. And Lamar Jackson gets Aaron's blood boiling. He does not like that guy. So if you ever just want to, have some fun, I don't know if Aaron even listens to our show, but, have some talk with Aaron about Lamar Jackson because he loves him. Not really. But yeah, it's cool to kind of see everybody's, people or positions they dislike and, guys they love. So keep them coming. Tunavites, let us know.
Well, that opens up our next topic that I want to tell everybody about. Are introducing our only kickers league that we're starting up.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, man.
Richard's out.
Can I just say, I'm out. Can I just say the only thing that pisses me off about John Mack's team is that he also has Kareem Hunt, who scored 27 points on his bench. It's just come on, that's not fair.
Yeah.
I'm struggling here. My second one.
Yeah, gosh, man.
Well, John Mack, if you're listening, now that you've already defeated Richard, he is shopping Derrick Henry. If you're interested, you've got some talent on your bench, clearly.
He's happy with his team. I know it.
Yeah,
all right,
I would too.
Reid, do you want to get yours out of the way? You want to save it for later?
No, hey, listen, I'm good. I'm just, let's go. Let's go.
Reid, this one stings, buddy.
It does sting.
Yeah. Well, let's look at it here. 135 to 149. Jonathan pulled away. Josh Allen, 44 points. I mean, that's definitely tough to overcome.
Reid, did I not call that?
Hey, listen, that's the second week in a row I've had somebody get 40-plus points, who I'm going against. So it was kind of like par for the course right now. So
I mean, Reid, you had so many good players too. You had the Broncos defense gave you 29. You had DJ Moore get you 20. You had Najee Harris get you 28. But Jonathan just was relentless with, Metcalf with 22 and Elliott with 26.
Well, what really damaged Reid's team was AJ Brown just getting hurt.
Goose egg.
Yeah, that.
I mean,
that hurts.
that was the unfortunate thing about your team, Reid, was that.
Yeah, I mean, of course, Jonathan had McCaffrey get hurt, but at least he got 5 points before he went out. So right. I got a goose egg. So that's just that was it was tough. It's been tough sledding. So, but that's just the way it goes. And I was our division, scoring wise has been close. But sometimes you just you lose close games or you just don't get enough. And my guys haven't gotten enough to give me a W. I think I'm like second hardest schedule right now. So, sometimes you got to overcome that. And my squad has not been able to overcome that. So
It's been tough sledding for you.
So it's going to be an uphill battle. I mean, it's not 0-3. Certainly, you can come back and still make the playoffs, but I can't. If I fall to 0-4, then it's going to be
it's going to be tougher for sure.
Yeah. Statistics aren't going to be on my side in that one. So
no doubt.
All right, congratulations to Jonathan going 3-0.
Yeah,
I'm done. Let's go on to Nathan with his 3-0. Look at that. Nathan, I was ready to just make fun of you losing to Josh before.
Listen, there was a text message I sent in the middle of that game where I think there was a 7-point difference between me and Josh, like going into like the second or third quarter of that Monday night game, and I was just like, I don't like this because I was watching this game and I'm not seeing CD Lamb. I'm not seeing Amari Cooper. I'm seeing this guy named Schultz. I'm seeing this guy named Wilson, getting all the touchdowns. And I'm like, who are these scrubs? And why do they pretend like they don't have two of the best wide receivers in the league? Like, what are they doing? And then, it's dump off to Miles Sanders. Dump off to – I'm like, I'm getting nervous.
Yep.
But yeah, it ended up working
No,
out.
you
So.
you pulled it out. You pulled it out. But I gotta say I stopped myself from making fun of you because I got 102 points. So I was like, well,
Richard, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Kindness, kind
I can
gesture.
read the room.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to go ahead and say it. For my team, being the owner and everything of that nature, Robert Woods he's killing me this season. He's old reliable. He's been old reliable for the past like 3 or 4 seasons, and this season, just Stafford has found Cooper Kupp, and that is his baby. Like, I'm reading all these reports about how Cooper Kupp and Stafford are like getting dinner together and like reading the playbooks together after practice, and I'm like, hey, could you invite Robert Woods, or is it just like, are you guys like, going steady? I don't know. Like, but he's just, yeah.
They're swooning together.
Yeah, it's been a letdown. I'll say it.
Yeah, well, I mean, Nathan, I guess it is. Everyone has certain positions, a roster they want to prove upon, even if you're 3-0 for the most part, unless you're like PC of last year where you just dominate the entire time.
Oh my
But
gosh, PCs was
yeah. So, anyways, I mean, there's certainly some things that but again, you're still set in a great position. I mean, you've got some guys that and of course there's always the potential of trading down the road, and
right.
it was closer, definitely closer than we all thought it was going to be, but of course not a surprise with the results. So
yeah, shout out to Josh. Justin Herbert is the real deal, man. He's 38
no
points.
doubt,
Pretty impressive.
no doubt.
But be interesting what happens going forward. It was against Kansas City, which I understand is. It seems like it's always going to be a shootout, right?
Right.
Yeah, Kansas City's defense, man, it looks rough. So
not the best.
Yeah.
Not the best.
All right.
All right. Donald and Bruce.
Let's hit it.
Well, what can we say? I mean, Donald, okay, you know what? I'm going to give you plenty of credit, okay? You just mock us all with, Tim Tebow and, Deshaun Watson on your bench because, you just go there and you pick Mike Williams, who is like the best value pick in the entire draft because he is just playing like, other than Cooper Kupp, he's been dominating. So what a draft pick for him there. And, his running backs have done enough. We kind of talked about in the past about, well, is he going to get enough from his running backs? And so far that is. And I mean, kudos to him. I mean, he's rolling along in a tough division. And, for Bruce, I just think, really his, Tyreek Hill two weeks in a row, just, having a down performance for him. I mean, I'm sure he's going to erupt, but of course, he's a star. And
40-point game incoming.
Yeah. Yeah. I have no doubt. And, so, but yeah, tough. They're in a tough division. So I'm not surprised by both scores, but, Donald has been a surprise. But, we talked about this and, after the draft about how Donald just seems to, he's one of those people that just surprises us, usually has a better team than we expect. And here he is again.
Yeah, and we've said at the beginning of the season that Bruce is going to live and die by the Kansas City Chiefs and how it goes.
Oh, for sure.
Tyreek was shut down this week, so What do you guys think about Evan Ingram play? Do you think it was a week too soon?
I hate Evan Ingram, so yeah.
It's always a week too
Evan
soon.
Ingram. You know what Evan Ingram in some ways reminds me, although he's probably people would like, but he kind of reminds me of Jared Cook. He's that guy that, he's talented. He's always, we look at it talented, but never usually quite, can never do enough to be a sustainable tight end. I mean, Jared Cook probably has done, he's played longer, so he's maybe had some better time, seasons, but I don't know. Those two guys are like, you always talk about the talent of those guys, but they just never are either able to stay on the field or, just be consistent.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
I agree. And then he finally sits Clyde, and Clyde does well.
Yeah, I saw that too.
That was unfortunate.
Yeah, Ingram hurt him a lot. That was just you know,
Tight end is brutal.
tight end is brutal. That is true.
Yeah. So are we back on the don't pick against PC mantra? Because he's proven us wrong. I mean, we didn't pick against him this week, so.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, he's he had that week 1 dud, and PC's rolling along. So I don't,
Yeah.
Again, he drafted really well. I mean, Brandon Cooks, who else are they going to throw to? Houston, and Jamar Chase. Apparently is good at catching footballs, and catches
really
a lot
good
of,
at catching footballs.
catches a lot of touchdowns. And I'll be honest, it's kind of one of those things I liked. Of course, a lot of buzz was about him after the draft, and I was one of those that like, oh yeah, Jamar Chase, he's going to make a immediate impact, and then kind of faded a little bit because you thought, well, rookie receivers, it can go both ways, and of course, then they were talking about struggles, and PC got him, I think, probably at a little bit of a discount when we drafted because he had kind of been dropping a little bit. And so kudos to PC because now he's got him with Adams. I mean, that's awesome.
I mean, how about also James Robinson sitting on his bench, got him 24 points, finally got going for the Jags.
Yeah.
Good point.
I mean, he's just going to fill him right in where James White is. James White's out for however long, and now he's got a backup. I mean, that's just.
Now, can I just point out? I reluctantly watched the Jags game because I'm somehow a Jags fan. That was the weirdest game, and I don't know if I can really trust that what he got. You know what I mean? It was a really weird game on how the Jags got their points. Arizona didn't actually get ahead until late in the third quarter, I think. Sometime in the third quarter. Well, it was. I mean, it was kind of obvious that Arizona was going to win just because the Jags were not making smart choices, like they just traded away their cornerback. Anyway, so it was just interesting. I don't know. I don't know how I don't know if this is a legit stat to bank on or not. You know what I mean? Because the last 2 weeks have been terrible, not as great. So
yeah,
we'll see. I mean, but PC, I mean, that's why he's been so good. I mean, obviously he has great players, which I mean we know his triple attack with his keepers, but I mean that's just what
steamrolling now. I mean he's a force to be reckoned with again. I'll give him that.
And Jack Gummit, did he pick the right QB to haul for the rest of the year, right?
Well, I think streaming quarterbacks is a thing. I know our league prioritizes, having the, whatever quarterback, but I mean, you can still stream quarterbacks and win. And, he's proving that. So that's why when he didn't get a quarterback, in the draft, I wasn't necessarily like, oh, he's going to hurt. I mean, he's streaming guys and it's working. So
well, see, my issue with that is I did that a few seasons ago. I think I got stuck with Stafford and I think I didn't have anybody else. And, that might have been last season, actually. I can't remember exactly, but I got stuck with Stafford. And Stafford was okay. He's always okay. But, I went to look for a backup, and it was just like we had guys. I think there was 3 or 4 different teams that had 3 or 4 quarterbacks on their rosters at the time.
That's been the issue with this league when it comes to streaming quarterbacks. And that's why I prioritize getting a high quarterback. It's just because this league wants to hold 3 or 4 quarterbacks per team. And it's like,
Donald. Not that Tebow or
Josh
Watson or anything, but
it's just it's very difficult in this league, and you kind of have to hold. If you want to stream, you have to hold 3 or 4 quarterbacks to stream them.
Yeah.
So, which is
just to add on to the back end real quick, Aaron's got a good team. Aaron doesn't have a bad team. It's just the performances. He's got Gesicki. You got 18 points on his bench. Christian Kirk, 17 points on his bench. Henry Ruggs, 11 points on his bench, which I don't know if you just picked him up. No, I guess not because this is last week. Anyway, I mean, I think the Kyle Pitts, I think that's really hurting him right now because Kyle Pitts not living up to the expectations that I think everybody
first round investment.
Yeah, I mean, that was a first round pick. He could have had another running back. He could have had another top tier wide receiver. He could have had CD Lamb. He could have had CD Lamb. I think. I can't remember the order.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, he could have.
Yeah.
There's a lot of guys he could have had over them. So I think that hurts Aaron because that's a difference of 20 points a week potentially.
Yeah. Yep. And I blame Atlanta for Kyle Pitts not beating expectations.
Yeah, I don't think they
to
know
be
how to
honest.
utilize him. To be honest with you,
They're not using them the way they should be. So
yeah,
in my opinion. So
for sure.
all right, let's go on to Dwayne and Daryl. All right, so now on to waivers. No,
He
I'm just
was
kidding.
who we thought he was.
The bright spot, Dak Prescott came to play, which is great for Daryl's team.
It's just unfortunate the rest of his team didn't come to play.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Now Shepard got hurt. Smith-Schuster was hurt.
Yeah.
That definitely took away some of his luster.
Yeah, Terrell's just like guys are dropping like flies on his roster.
Yeah, he's had more injuries.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
I mean, look at his bench: 0, 0, 0, 0.
Well, and just Jonathan Taylor's been a disappointment so far for Daryl, and then on Dwayne's side, Allen Robinson has been nowhere to be found.
Good.
So,
Well, that's Fields this week. He was Fields. I don't know if you watched any of that game. Every time I turned it on, it looked like he was just running away from the defense. Like he just couldn't set his feet. It seemed like. So that offensive line needs to do better for their quarterback for Robinson to do anything.
Kind of a surprise for Dwayne's team is that Chubb kind of went to the background for Kareem Hunt.
Yeah, it was a Hunt day. So
crazy.
All right, is that all, Richard? Did we get all through last week?
We got through all last week, man.
Okay.
Pretty good.
All right. So let's transition. Let's talk a little bit about Fab and maybe some of the injuries and just some things. I want to get your guys' thoughts on just kind of through 3 weeks now, kind of figuring out, things start to become a little more clear, with certain players and teams. And of course, the Fab is still alive and well. So I just want to get your guys' thoughts.
Come on, CBS.
Whoop.
Blaming you. All right, let's get to the full Fab because that's what we really want to see.
Yeah.
So,
all the money.
Let's before we talk about our top prize of the week, what do you think? Let's talk about these injuries that you were talking about. We have Dalvin Cook got hurt, which Madison was on PC's team. Who else? I'm blanking.
CMC with hamstring and AJ Brown. AJ Brown hamstring, and then also, I guess Julio got hurt a little bit too. So
Julio, Sterling Shepard, AJ Brown.
Juju
got hurt.
Who else?
I mean, there's guys that, of
Mitchell,
course, got banged up,
Mitchell's
like
hurt.
Gronk and everything. So a little bit.
Is Antonio coming back this week, or is he off another week for COVID?
I saw today that he still hasn't been taken off the list, so they're just saying he's in question for this week. So I mean, if he doesn't, obviously by Friday, if he's not off the list, he's probably not going to be playing this week.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
So that's he's still in question. I did just see that T. Higgins has been officially ruled out for tomorrow night's game. So he's still going to be out.
What do you think? What's you guys' thoughts on T. Higgins and Jamar Chase? Do you think Chase is getting all this work because T. Higgins is out, or do you think he's getting all this work because he's really good?
No, I think T. Higgins will get his. I watch a lot of the Bengals, and I kind of follow along with them as well as the Bucs. T. Higgins will get his receptions. It's obvious that Boyd is the odd man out. Which I kind of thought going into the season it wasn't going to be that the case, which is why I took him in every single draft I had because I was like, hey, Boyd's going to, and Boyd's bouncing back a little bit from his first game dud. But T. Higgins is the second read for Burrow. It's almost like he goes to Chase. If Chase is not open, he goes to T. Higgins, and in that order. So I think right now Jamar Chase is just dusting off the rust and. Is kind of insane right now. truly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think he's the real deal, and I think PC got a big steal getting him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree.
He's this
I
year's
agree.
Justin Jefferson for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems that way.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's talk about Josh Gordon.
Let's talk about him.
Josh Gordon. Well, I guess, Josh is just, you know what, you're throwing up anything you can do right now for Josh because his team is just like a sinking ship. And so I don't know. I mean, it's the Chiefs and Josh Gordon, and maybe he's just thinking, hey, maybe lightning in a bottle, some sort of resurrection of a career. I don't know. I guess I did think people were going to bid on him. I mean, but I just didn't think it was going to be only Josh for $42. So that when I saw that this morning, I just thought it just made me chuckle. I was like, all right, well, so hey,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean,
maybe. I just don't see, you got Mecole Hardman, you got Denard Robinson still on the team. Those guys have been in the offense and are decent wide receivers, and they're hit or miss. Some weeks they have good weeks, sometimes they don't. Josh Gordon already struggled, when he was in Seattle. He didn't always have great games. I don't know. I don't know. $42 is too much.
well, this to me for the Chiefs, I think is kind of like what the Ravens tried to do with Dez Bryant last year. They're trying to get somebody else besides, Travis Kelce that can make a tough contested catch because they have all these speedsters. And so I think they're just trying to, bring somebody else that can try to be that, potential guy that can make a tough contested catch, go
Right.
up for the red zone, whatever. And I mean, we'll see.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
But of course, the other one, Zach Moss, I mean, $30 again highlights, how hard it is to find good usable running backs. And, so I guess I wasn't shocked by that, but, there's not much out there. So if anybody pops, then everybody's, jumping on it.
Right.
I mean, it's no $55 Elijah Mitchell, but
hey,
I really liked. I mean, I'll be honest with you. The ones I like the most, Hunter Renfrow had to have been on somebody. Like I was staring this guy down for the past 3 weeks. Like he's gotten scored 10 or more points in the past 3 games, and the Raiders. I guess maybe everybody just wasn't sold on the Raiders until this week, but like he's the real deal, man. He's got like 12 points, 10 points, 14 points. He's great for PPR. So I was just waiting. I'm like, how has nobody picked this guy up? I felt like I have pretty good depth at wide receiver, so I wasn't chomping at the bit to get him. But, I thought that was a good pickup by Dwayne to take him. Somebody had to have taken him. Richard, I also like the Tim Patrick. As so long as Judy is out, I think he's going to be very valuable.
That's my frustration is how does Jonathan have somebody to drop to get Tim Patrick? That's pissed me off.
Mecole Hardman, man.
That's not fair.
Yeah.
He's not supposed to have anybody.
I know.
They should all.
Yeah.
I saw you went for him. I was like, Richard didn't get him. But
yeah, he went aggressive.
And this week I went $5. Last week I went $9 for Mooney, who did nothing, and then this week I went $5 because I got criticized for going $9.
Criticized? I don't think anybody's gonna get criticized too much. Josh.
Well, ask Reid. Reid, did I get criticized for going 9?
Well, Richard. I mean, I don't know.
Are you the only one that went for him for 9?
Criticize. I mean, listen. I mean, if you want to go broke by next week, that's okay. That's your choice. Nathan knows about this too.
I've learned from my mistakes. Okay, I've learned from my mistakes.
Hey, I mean, here's the real hard truth about Fab. I mean, it's so much fun and there's such a strategy to it. But if we all are being honest, most of the time we spend money on our transactions, if we go back and look at the year, most of them don't really pan out to be much other than maybe just a 1 week fill in. So, I mean,
yeah,
you're right.
I
mean, you're not wrong.
But yeah, $3 is better than $1. Sorry, Reid. I got the Bengals, not you.
I figured you would go for him, but I just, it's a defense.
I saw the matchup and I'm like, I got to find a defense.
Hey, they should do well tomorrow night at home. So on a short week.
Yeah. Anytime I start getting my hopes up for the Bengals is when they fall apart completely. So we'll see.
Oh. Well, what do you guys, aside from Fab, let's just talk a little bit, Nathan, I don't you have a lot much more time, but what, trading wise, we're, um, obviously nothing's happened yet. I'm sure in the next coming weeks, people are going to either have to make moves or maybe want to make moves, or unless this is going to be one of those years where we don't make a lot of trades. But
Yeah.
what do you think as far as just trading and maybe not specifically with you guys, because I know you don't want to give away your strategy, although Richard kind of announced to the world that he would trade Derrick Henry for a 2-for-1. So
Please, somebody take my players and give me yours.
although I listen, Richard, I'm not hating on that. I mean, you got to just let it out there sometimes, because every week we've looked on Tuna Buzz, you have one green trade offer that you're not showing us to somebody, I guess, and they're not responding. I don't know. So sometimes you got to go out there and just say, look, here's what I'm offering. So
Well, I mean, that's it. It's because, well, like for like in the case of Nathan, right? Nathan and I were talking a little bit, and I don't know if he would be wanting to go for a running back, but I look at his team and go, like, I don't think he's going to want Derrick Henry. So for those people that I don't think, I'm just going to tell them, hey, I'm shopping Henry just in case. That's the way I was.
Mine's for him. With that.
I'm good. I'm good. I'll stay
All
with
right.
where I got.
I'll throw in Hollywood Brown. Okay, I'm not cheapskate. Jeez.
You mean drops Brown?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about it.
yeah, I don't either. Okay, it's affected all Ravens. Okay.
Yikes. No, just looking at it, I think that there's some teams that could definitely benefit and help their team out by doing some trades. I don't know what Josh would trade, but I think Josh could definitely conjure up something. He's got some players.
He's got Jefferson. That's his biggest bargaining chip.
He would have to. Yeah. I mean, and I don't know how he would shape that, but I think, he could come out of the hole and get himself a running back 2 and maybe a wide receiver 3 in exchange for Jefferson, something to help his team along. It's not the flashy move, but, it just depends how deep he wants to go. Richard, your team's in a position where you could do some trading. Obviously, you are. Reid and Aaron, you guys, listen, you guys are so plentiful in talent on your teams that you could easily make a trade to help yourselves out, maybe get you over the hump to get you a win. But your teams aren't bad. You've just had bad matchups. So, I could see looking for a trade, but I could also see holding for one more week just to see, what kind of happens. Now, Bruce could be in a position, and if I was him, I would probably trade some of those Kansas City Chiefs, away and try and diversify my team a little bit more. But hey, you know what? You gotta do what you feel like is right. So,
yeah. I mean, that is a good point, Nathan. You gotta have to. I mean, every team is in a different situation. Josh being 0-3. Is in a dire situation right now as far as just his team's been a mess, and he had a better week this last week, but he's hurting badly on running backs, and as Captain Insano said he's doo-doo or whatever at the running back position. So he's in a position where it's like, for me it is hard because I'm looking at my roster, and I for the most part, I like my roster, and I feel like, okay, I've got some good depth, which is what I've, told everybody I liked about the draft, whatever.
Right.
So it's kind of a situation where, like, I feel like, I want to make a move, but then, like, do you just wait one more week? Cause maybe then it comes together. And so I guess that's every manager, you're trying to, wait, or kind of figure out, do I need to make a trade this week or do I wait? Sometimes you wait too long and then it's like, I waited too late, to jump on a trade. And other times, you should have waited, but I guess that's why, for the most part, nobody really trades within the first, 4 or 5 weeks typically in our league. Usually week 6 to the trade deadline is when everybody really starts, making trades because, they're trying to make a push for the playoffs, or some teams are just out of it. Like I was last year and heading that direction again this year. Yeah. So, so yeah, I mean, it's fun to trade. And of course, it obviously takes 2 to tango. And I think everybody, everybody wants to get better. And I think sometimes if you get a trade, you can entertain offers, even if you don't want the first offer, okay, you got to look at everybody's roster. What do they need? What makes sense for them? And where are you deep at, in certain positions? If you're deep at running back, which there's not that many teams that can actually say, hey, I got a good full roster of running backs to trade. Well, then obviously it makes sense for them to trade and get better somewhere else or whatever. If you've got really deep at wide receiver, hey, I got a receiver, I can make a move. Tight end, Nathan, you're the only one in our league who has 2 tight ends that are actually good. So, that's how brutal that position is. So,
That's what I said in the beginning of the season. Positional advantage, and I got lucky because I was excited about Gronk, but I didn't know if he's going to end up being like he is. So
yeah.
But it's
I wish I had a plethora of a position to do that, but I have skin and bones right now.
Well, and it makes it tough because Jonathan in the beginning of the season, you looked at his running backs, and that was definitely a strength. Well, he's had a bunch of injuries, so now it's like he's just trying to get obviously starting running backs to start, and so sometimes you have depth, and then if you get a bunch of injuries, then you're like, oh, well, man, now I don't have that to my advantage. So sometimes
that's true. He did lose two of his running backs right off the bat.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it hard, because sometimes you're like, okay, I've got this depth. Why don't I go, if I have the right offer or if I have the right moment, maybe you make that trade before, something happens and you're like, oh man, now I'm kind of stuck. And,
right.
So, but of course injuries are wreaking havoc on everything. So like they usually do. So that's changing dynamics of the roster, and we're seeing, who's washed up, Big Ben. So
he's not good. Not good anymore. It's like painful to watch him play. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, I saw that video kept replaying where he was just kind of going off to his side with like no pressure, and he just randomly fell and threw the ball, and it was just it was kind of hard to watch. So anywho.
Well, listen, guys, I've got to jump off here shortly, but before I do, I'm going to let you guys do the in-depth analysis on your picks for the week, but I'm going to give you my quick picks.
All right.
Okay.
It's logged.
All right.
So you guys ready for this?
Wait,
Yes.
Nathan.
What?
Please don't pick me. Okay, Richard, don't pick me. Everybody that picks me, I lose every week, including CBS. Please don't pick me.
All right. Let's see what happens.
We got to look.
No promises.
All right. Here we go. Quick picks. Bruce versus John Mack. I'm looking at it. It shows that Bruce is the favorite, 139 to 128. Saquon Barkley has a designation for being questionable. So does Thielen. I don't know if they'll play or not. If they do play, Mahomes has Philadelphia. I'm going Bruce with this one. I think Bruce just has the matchups. They're playing Philly, like I said. Calvin Ridley plays Washington. That could be a tough matchup, though. But, Cooper Kupp, it could be in a shootout with Arizona. Man, that's a tough one. I'm going to stick with Bruce. I'm going to say Bruce, but I think John Mack's definitely – this may be the closest game of the week, looking at it. All right, PC and Jonathan, dad versus son in an epic battle. I mean, what's going to happen? Who's going to win? Looking at the matchups here, Highland Celts is favored pretty in a probably pretty large margin by 20. I'm going with PC. I'm not going against PC. Okay, we've learned our lesson, right? So I think he's going to have the edge over Jonathan.
Yeah.
Reid versus Dwayne, 133 to 131. Reid with a slight edge. Can this 0-3 team beat Dwayne's team? DeAndre Swift plays a pretty tough defense in Chicago. Nick Chubb plays Minnesota. Is he going to get more involved? Mike Evans versus New England. I think Brady's going to have a field day. I could be wrong, but I think he really is. Man. Oh, but Joe Mixon versus Jacksonville. Jacksonville is poop. Sorry, Richard. No, this is
No need to apologize. You're just speaking truth.
I'm gonna go Dwayne. I'm gonna go Dwayne with this one, and not because you told me that, Reid.
Good.
I genuinely, I think this actually may be the closest game. I think Bruce and John Mack will be close too, but this is you both have some really even matchups. But I'm leaning Dwayne on this one. Richard, your matchup with Josh. He's got an illegal lineup, so I think you're gonna win. I really can't see any of his players because it says illegal lineup, but Josh is just struggling. His running backs, if you go back and look at this past week, they're putrid, absolutely putrid. And I hate it for Josh that he's lost so many guys to injury, but I don't think Josh Gordon, is gonna turn it around and save it for him. I just don't. So I think Richard, you're gonna go to 2-2, buddy. I think you're gonna be at 500 on the season. Donald's gonna win this. I'm not gonna go into it. Sorry, Daryl. Chuba Hubbard, versus Dallas. It could be an intriguing matchup. Dallas's defense did step up this past week, but we'll see. But Donald's got Tom Brady again. I just think Tom Brady's about to go off. Keenan Allen, Chargers versus the Raiders. That could be a good game. Mike Williams. Yeah. I'm going Donald with this one. And then me and Aaron. Honestly, Aaron's team makes me a little nervous. Aaron's got some really good matchups. You got the Packers, Aaron Jones versus Pittsburgh. Steelers have been pretty doo-doo, like I said. Amari Cooper versus Carolina. That's a tough matchup. So, I've got CD, so I've also got to consider that matchup as well. Carolina's defense is pretty good this year. Then you got Stephon Diggs versus Houston. So I think this matchup is going to come down to Kyle Pitts. If Kyle Pitts can get going, I think that's going to be a big factor. It's really going to depend on Mike Davis and Kyle Pitts. I think if they can get going versus Washington's defense and actually do some decent numbers, I think Aaron has a really good potential to beat me this week and give me my first loss. I don't think it's overwhelming that I'm going to just knock him out of the water. I do have some good matchups. I think Tyler Boyd versus Jacksonville with T. Higgins still being out gives me an advantage. I think that Marquise Brown versus Denver is going to be a challenge. And I haven't even solidified if that's who I'm going to play there yet. I've got some tough, lineup moves to make. But Kamara versus the Giants, I feel pretty confident about that. And Arizona versus, with Kyler Murray, I think that's going to be a shootout. So begrudgingly, I'm not going to pick myself, but I think Aaron's going to beat me by like this tiniest amount. And it sucks. That's got to be an 0-3 team that beats me. But that's my prediction. That's what I think Aaron may get me on this week. We'll see. So you guys go through it and you give your own analysis, and I promise I will come back and watch what you say. So be kind.
All right.
See you,
Nathan.
See you, Nathan.
Yep.
All right, guys. Enjoy
All
the
right.
rest of the show. Thanks for having me on.
See you.
Always. All right, Richard. Well, I think for time's sake, let's kind of just kind of like Nathan. Let's quickly go through this week on our picks.
Yeah, let's go for it. Which brother do you like more?
It's hard for me to pick against Nathan right now. He's
too,
been probably the best team overall in the league. So I'm staying with Nathan.
I am too. I know he said Mike Davis and Kyle Pitts. I just don't trust that Atlanta's going to do anything with them, and so I just until I see it, I'm not going to trust it, and so I'm just going to go with Nathan on that.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Daryl and Donald. I think Nathan summed it up pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, Daryl gets to put in Chuba Hubbard and because of CMC's injury, but Donald, I'm not going to pick against Donald right now. There's no reason to pick against him.
I think Daryl is going to show up though at the same time, just a little bit. I mean, Dak showed up last week. I think he's going to show up again. Jonathan Taylor has been terrible, but he's going against Miami. And so there's a big potential there. And compare that to Donald's running backs. Melvin Gordon showed up last week. Baltimore, their defense has always been tough. We'll see. this year. It doesn't seem as much, but the potential is there, I guess, for him to go off. It looks like it's possible that Daryl can show up on this one. I will say if he has another option, I would try to get away from Juju. But
Yeah.
Other than that, I think he's pretty set for what he can do. I think he has the potential. We'll see what happens. I'm with you though. I think Donald's going to win. But this is surprisingly low scoring prediction, don't you think?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Well, I mean, Julio Jones is not projected it because he might not play this week, so that factors in. I know with Donald, so he may be looking for somebody else to fill in there for his wide receiver flex. So, that'll be something.
To the audience. I apologize to the audience for not sharing the screen. I thought I was. So you just saw me doing weird things.
So, yeah. Well, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, you might be right. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's due. So maybe this will be the week Daryl gets on the winning column, and I mean he might surprise. So we'll see.
Yeah, I agree. I just wanted to go back and show Nathan's team, like Nathan and Aaron's team, just because I wasn't sharing my screen. So just do that real quick. I apologize. Do it real quick. Don't blink. All right, let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's go to PC and going against his youngest son in Jonathan.
Yeah, well, Jonathan, I mean, it's tough because he just doesn't, CMC's out, so you can't replace CMC. I mean, that's just there's no way to replace him. I'm not going against PC. I kind of going along with this now. He's back to his winning ways, and so.
It's got to be like a league rule. We need to come up with a league rule.
Well, it would make it if CMC was playing, then that would be a whole different deal. But since CMC is not playing, or at least it doesn't look like he's going to be playing, so I just I'm going to go with PC. So and Chase, I mean Higgins is out, so that just Chase is going to have even more at least focus tomorrow night's game. So
yeah. All right, let's go to Coach Bruce and John Mack.
Well, Bruce has made me look bad the last 2 weeks. I've picked him, and it's not worked out well for me. So, do I pick him this week? This week he is favored to win, and John Mack. Man, I mean. This I think probably Nathan's right. Probably going to be the game of the week. He's got CEH back in. Man, I could see Bruce just going off this week. Could be a week. Tyreek's kind of probably due for a huge game. But man, it's tough to go against John Mack. I mean, he only had that close loss. I'm gonna go John Mack.
What I said about Atlanta applies to Calvin Ridley, although I think it applies only not as badly. I think Calvin Ridley is able to get back to get his points without the Atlanta being weird and dumb with how they do things.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. This is going to be close. Nathan's right. It's going to be close. Man, it's it's difficult. Do you trust that what Clyde Edwards-Helaire did last year or last week is going to happen again, or is he going to repeat? Weeks 1 and 2.
Do I trust him? No, I don't trust him. I mean, is he? I mean, obviously with the offense and what we know he could do, sure. I mean, he could be good, but it's tough to trust. And I mean, John Mack Barkley's starting to look better now as he's kind of getting back into things. And, I just from top to bottom, I guess I'm saying right now, I like, John Mack's matchups and team. But again, as we've said, Bruce only needs a couple guys that are capable of, going off like the Chiefs that, he could really go off.
I'm picking Bruce. I just think Mahomes hasn't been scoring what he's normally do. He's due. Tyreek has been shut down. Maybe they figure him out too. I'm gonna go with Bruce. We'll see what happens, but I'm gonna pick Bruce.
All right.
All right,
Richard's
we're gonna
going a different
go.
direction.
Yep, I'm gonna be contrarian here. All right, is it just me and you? Our games left over, I think,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Let's go to yours since yours posts both sides scores or potential scores.
Yeah.
This one, I mean, I think it's as close as it says it is. I think, I mean, Nathan picked Dwayne, and he went against his brother. He went for his best friend. I think best friend, yeah. I know you asked me not to take you, but I kind of want to take you.
Oh, gosh.
I really like your team. I think your team is poised for greatness. I mean,
Oh,
you're
gosh.
0-3 not because you're scoring low points. You're 0-3 because you're going against high scoring people, and they're high, like you went against my highest score of the week of the season for me. I mean, look at your schedule difficulty has been second. You've been going against high scores, and that's where you're 0-3. It's not because of your team is not scoring. So, for that reason, I kind of have to pick you. I'm sorry.
Oh, Richard. Yeah, you had to go there. Well, if I go 0-4, Richard, then I'm going to make it a rule or two of
point.
a show. You cannot pick me anymore. It's outlawed. You can't pick Reid because you always lose after that. But yeah, I mean it's tough. I mean Dwayne is a capable team, and he's 2-1, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens this week. But I mean I've been encouraged by certain players that are playing really well, and just I haven't been able to get enough of a week together to get a win, obviously. So yeah.
All right. Well, we'll go to mine. This is going to show you why I'm trading Derrick Henry. Because I mean, it says 123. I mean, that's not a pedestrian score that they're projecting.
All right.
But I mean, outside of Damian Harris, from a running back perspective, is just hardly anything. James Conner did great last week. But he was all touchdowns, and it was against Jacksonville. So I don't think that's sustainable. Ronald Jones.
Oof, man.
Mitchell's injured. And then Tyson Williams just. This is why I didn't want Gus Edwards when I traded him away. It's the exact reason why. I played him last week because all the pundits that follow fantasy football were like, "This is a great week for Tyson Williams." I'm like, okay, so I did. I followed it, and it was awful. So
yeah, well, listen, Richard. The good news is that you're playing Josh, and Josh did show a little life last week, but even as much as you're aside from Derrick Henry, you're kind of looking at your running back, kind of like hurting, depth wise. I mean, Josh is really hurting, and Odell is back and he looked good. So I definitely am going to pick you. Listen, I'm sure, we've talked about, we've maybe seemed harsh on Josh and Darryl. I mean, it's been bad for them, and I'm sure they're going to get wins. I just don't think this is going to be a week that Josh is going to get a win against you. So,
I pulled up Josh's team just to kind of show just to show his team. Josh Gordon, obviously, he's going to take out of this roster, and then he'll be fine.
Yeah.
Or not out of the roster, but out of the starting lineup. But you can see, like, if we were to tally this up really quick, it doesn't look like it would be. It'd be just over 100 points, maybe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe just under 100 points. It looks like. So it's unfortunate, but we were talking about what pieces does Josh have available to trade. He does have pieces. He has Miles Sanders. He has Justin Jefferson. He has the Buccaneers defense. He has Justin Herbert. So I mean, if he wanted to make moves, he can. So that's a good thing.
True.
He's got Michael Thomas. He's been sitting on him, so it's possible.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's just it's on him to to kind of make that happen. But
Yep.
yeah, but I like you this week. So to get you to 500 and
Woohoo.
our division's interesting. I'm really just to see how it's shaking out. Last year, it was bad, and so aside from Jonathan, so I'm really it'll be this is the first week we didn't mention this. Of course, this is the first week outside of playing your divisional opponents. So this is going to be just to see a good barometer for a lot of the teams in their divisions, and especially before the bye weeks come. Kind of see what division they going to be the best division. I mean, we kind of think that what division we think is the best. We've mentioned that, but so it'll be interesting to see how our division, Richard, kind of takes shape out of here now, out of our divisional matchups. So well, Tuna Bites, that we're gonna end the show today, and I do want to make note that probably coming soon, we're going to start talking in some of our segments. So we might not hit as much on the matchups for some of our shows, but we're going to hit up on some possibilities for some changes next year, some things we want to vote on coming up in the season, for some positional changes potentially, and just basically want to talk about, pros, cons, what does that look like, for our league, just to kind of give everybody a little bit more understanding. Now, of course, if you don't watch the show, then you might just see a random poll come up later in the season, and that's on you. But we'll kind of make note, as far as if we do it on an episode and talk about maybe one. We might not do it all in one episode. Maybe we'll talk about one possibility that's being thrown out and add that into our show for the future, because we obviously are one to have fun, and we might some changes are good, some are bad, but that's why we want to talk about it a little bit and kind of help everybody understand what it kind of means, the good and the bad of that, and our pros and cons. And so anyways, that'll be coming up, and so be looking for that. And so after this week 4, we're getting to hear the end of September here. And so good luck, Tuna Bites, this week in playing your non-divisional opponents. And Richard, next week when you see me, okay, you're either going to see somebody who feels like they have life breathe back into their team in the season, or you might see a brown paper bag on my head. And I might be a little bit depressed. And so, I might be a downer for the show. Okay. Just saying. So we'll just giving an FYI.
All right. Sounds good. Same may be true if I lose this week.
Oh gosh. Yeah. We could. Yeah. Fun times. Tales of fantasy football.
Yep. There you are.
All right, Tuna Bites. See y'all next week.
Bye.